Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Now we are going to today talk about the same thing, but in 2D. So uh, stress, strain, relation. See in 2D. Now remember that we have already done 3D. Now we are going to reduce one dimension. Okay, so make it 2D. Now the way it will be reduced, um, the results, the expected outcome is the same. So if you are doing 3D analysis or by reducing one dimension into and make it 2D a problem. So computational burden we are reducing substantially. However, the result will be exactly the same. Okay, that will not change. Uh, so in order to do that, now we have to enforce some condition. Because we want the result also the same as 3D, but in one way we are reducing the dimension. So definitely some condition has to be imposed onto the geometry, onto the problem, onto the loading condition and all. So there are three ways we can achieve this. Number one, what we call is plane stress. Number two, we call plane strain. And number three is axis symmetry. So these are the three ways we can reduce the dimension and make a 3D problem into 2D. Now, I give you an example. Let's say I want to analyze a thin plate, something like this, where x and y is in this plane. So this is x and this is y. And let's say the loading is in this direction. So if this is the z-axis, if this is the z-axis, that means this is z-axis, but there is no loading in along the z-axis. Okay, there is no loading. Then we cannot reduce it to 2D. Then we have to do a 3D analysis. So the loading is not in this direction. Okay, that we assume. And in this geometry, the dimension in the z-axis, along the z-axis direction, is much thinner or much lower as compared to x and y direction, or we call the in-plane directions. In-plane direction is, this is the in-plane, x and y are the in-plane. So this is my in-plane directions, so x and y, and out of plane is z direction. So if this is the situation, we call it a plane stress condition. Okay, I will put another restriction also. Right now you just know this is the geometry and the loading condition. Now for plane strain. Now in the plane strain, let's say I have a tunnel and this tunnel is pretty long, maybe 500 meter. I'm sure some of you someday have crossed a tunnel. And let me now use another pen. And let's say this is the general 3D body, and the tunnel is like this. So your z-axis is still this out of plane direction, and xy will be in this direction. This is my x and this is my y. So perpendicular to this is my x. Okay, I may delete the top one just to make the clarity. Okay. So now you can see, uh, so this is still x and y direction, the perpendicular to that z axis. So here will be the tunnel geometry in that axis. So what is happening is here, the out of plane direction, the dimension is much bigger. It's not so thin. So it is as comparable to x and y direction. Okay. If the condition is this, then again we can make it in a 2D format, and we call it a plane strain condition. Okay. I'll tell you the stress strain relation just a minute. I'm just giving you the uh, geometrical interpretation of plane stress and plane strain. And then what is axisymmetric? The axisymmetric is, let's say, a circular tunnel. Have you know what is shaft already? Mine shaft. Has this has been told to you in DMD, development of mineral deposits? What is mine shaft? Anybody?
It's an path for underground for excavating the mining material in underground mines.
Yeah. So you know what is shaft? The mining shaft.
Just introduction. Just
Okay, in
introduction.
the introduction
Definition.
they told you. Okay. So it's just like a lift. Okay, elevator. Okay, but it is circular, let's say in shape. Okay, it can be elliptical also, but mostly we make circular. So now, if this is a shaft, now our loading here is mostly, it is like this, because with depth, load increases. And this is all around. If you can see, this is all around, right? It's 360-degree. It is like this. So the loading is also symmetrical. The shaft is symmetrical because there is a axis of symmetry here. So if this kind of condition occurs, where the geometry is symmetrical and there is a axis of symmetry, then also we can make it in a 2D, and we call it a axisymmetric condition. So these are the three types of geometry if you are encountering and the loading condition. So here is also the loading is like this. Okay, loading will be only in plane, not out of plane. We are not considering z directional loading. Okay, so in this condition, uh, we can collapse one dimension completely without sacrificing the results. Whatever the stress strain and the displacement will occur in this body, there will be absolutely no issue, no problem. With the 3D and 2D, they will be exactly the same. All right. Okay. Somebody has opened his or her, I think, unmuted. Okay. Now I go to plane strain. Okay. So even I can delete that now. Make the space. So now plane strain. Oh, sorry, plane stress first. So what I said, the geometry is something like this, and let's assume there is a hole here, and loading is like this.
सत्यम बर्बाद नहीं कर तुम्हारा
Somebody has to mute his or her. So this is the 3D, and we are making it as a 2D, just like a paper, okay, and the 2D representation is this. So this out of plane Z axis is not there anymore. So we will have X axis and Y axis. Okay, that's it. So this we are taking no in here. So because we have converted into 2D, okay, from 3D to 2D. Okay, so this problem becomes this. So in this condition, what is happening? We have sigma xx, we have sigma yy, and we may have tau xy. That's not a problem. Okay, we may have tau xy also here. Okay, but normally we do not apply that here. But inside maybe tau xy is there. Okay, so this is the problem statement. You understand? Now, how does it collapse? Now, if you see the 3D matrix, if you see the 3D matrix now, in that you are definitely seeing, okay, let me ask you this. Now, if I give this load here, sorry, if I have a stress here, okay, do you think there will be any movement in this direction because of this stress? Because of sigma yy, will there be any epsilon zz? Does this stress generate this for the plane stress condition? Because it's a thin, it was a thin layer here. So will it generate epsilon zz? Whether this one will generate this? Anybody? The answer is yes. Sigma yy will generate epsilon zz, so as sigma xx will generate epsilon zz. The reason is because it is thin, there will be a movement in this direction. Okay, you think about a book, okay, of a very less thickness, okay, a few millimeter or maximum 1 centimeter or 2 centimeter. Now if you apply a perpendicular load, the book will move or try to move also in the out of plane direction, out of the book, the plane, the perpendicular to that book will try to move also. So that causes this epsilon zz. Now why it causes? Because in this z direction there is not enough material which will protect its movement. So in this direction there will be no sigma zz. This is 0. But this epsilon zz is non-zero. Okay. Sigma zz will be 0 because you have allowed the movement, but epsilon zz will be non-zero. Remember that there will be a strain, but there will be no stress in out of plane direction. So here you will understand the word plane stress, sigma zz 0, plane, all the stress are in the plane, so epsilon zz is 0. However, sorry, sigma zz will be 0. However, this is non-zero. Okay. And since there is no third dimension, definitely gamma yz and gamma zx, they will be 0. Okay. Those shear strain doesn't occur. So only shear strain will be gamma xy, which is non-zero. Okay. So this is the condition. Now, if you apply this condition, then my that three-dimensional that matrix or that 6 by 6 matrix uh, converted to, let me write it down for you. If you remember, this is 1 minus nu, 0 minus nu, minus nu 1, 0 minus nu, 0, 0, 2 into 1 plus nu, 0, minus nu, 0, 1. And here sigma xx, sigma yy, tau xy and 0. This is that sigma zz, which is 0. So my three-dimensional that matrix will become this. Okay. This is the plane strain equation. Now you may very well now find out what is what is this sigma zz. Okay. Can anybody tell me what will be sigma, sorry, epsilon zz? This will be minus nu by E sigma xx plus sigma yy. Okay. This can also be, you may try in your home, this can also be written minus nu by 1 minus nu epsilon xx plus epsilon yy. Okay. You can derive from here. So, in other words, if I know these two stress and these two elastic properties, I already know what will be epsilon z. Okay, or that may be obtained from these two strain. Okay, I already know what will be the value of this. Now, where is the example? Okay, the example is, you see the car. Car is, the body of the car is made with a steel plate, right? Like the door of the of a car, it is made with a steel plate. Now, if I have to analyze that steel plate, I can use now this plane stress condition. For that matter, the wing of a aeroplane, okay, that's also made with a plate of a thin section. So we can use this plane stress condition, or we say that they behave like a plane stress condition. So I actually do not have to analyze in 3D if the loading condition is applicable like that I said. That means there is no load in the z direction. Then I can very well reduce one dimension and make it, you know, this small matrix, and the result will be exactly the same. There will be no difference. Okay. So this is what is the plane stress. Now I go to plane strain, and let's see what is that is all about. Okay, now, sorry, let me also delete that. So now I'm going into plane stream. Now, as the name suggests, you can see all the stream will be in plane. So there will be no stream in out of plane direction. Now, I had drawn for you the tunnel, which was maybe way long, and this is basically the, let's say, the rock. I hope you have traveled through a tunnel. If you didn't, whenever you find time, you please go. I think after this class, you may try to see the tunnel in a different point of view. Whether it is a plane strain or plane stress, you will then know. Let's say I cut a vertical section here and make it 2D. So this is X and this is Y. And this tunnel axis is in Z direction. So this XY plane is perpendicular to this Z. So there is also this tunnel looks like this. Now again, as I told you, the loading will be only in these directions. Okay, that must be made. Then only you will be able to convert it into 2D. Okay, so there is no loading in Z direction. So if this is the case, then what we are looking at, the epsilon ZZ. See, I told you this is about 500-meter long, right? Now you think my sigma XX applied. So do you think now this sigma XX can allow a movement in the Z direction? Okay, this sigma XX, can it allow movement in the Z direction when it is 500-meter long? The answer is yes. Again, no also. Let me tell you where it is yes. The yes is in near the portal where you enter. Okay, this is the road. So your car is moving here. Let's say you have a car and you are moving. So you are entering here. This is the portal. We call portal. Now near the portal, yes, it is possible that there will be movement in the Z direction. But in the middle, absolutely no way this stress can move the material, this rock material, into out of plane direction. Well, very much we can ignore it or it will be negligible. So in other words, if we're analyzing in the middle, we can always say epsilon ZZ is 0. However, this epsilon ZZ is 0, meaning this has created a stress in this direction. So sigma ZZ is non-zero. What I'm trying to say is, when a particle or a rock or anything, you have allowed its movement in a particular direction, in that direction its strain will be 0. Okay, because you have made it free surface. Now if that surface is free, then there is no stress. We have seen it into the previous example, plane stress. But here we are restricting the movement, we are restricting the strain, and it is being restricted by the material itself. So that material must have applied a opposite force which will cause this stress. So out of plane stress exists, it is not 0, but out of plane strain it is 0 or it doesn't exist. Okay, that's why it is called plane strain. All the strains will be in plane. So we have epsilon xx which will be non-zero, epsilon yy which will be non-zero, okay, but this will be 0. And similarly, gamma yz will be gamma zx, this will be 0 because z axis doesn't exist because we have converted into 2D. Okay, so you can see the difference, right? So all of our mining related problems, if you want to collapse into 2D, our assumption is plane strain, not plane stress. Okay, this is plane strain. Always remember that. Any geomechanical study we do, so this is a plane strain condition. Now I collapse the matrix which we have. So let me delete that. Basically, in mathematical form, how does it looks? Uh, we had a relationship. I hope you have checked it. I told you to look into that. Sigma xx, sigma yy, tau xy, and sigma zz. This equals to E by 1 plus mu 1 minus 2 mu 1 minus nu. It's just the reverse of that. This is what I'm writing is the constitutive matrix, the D matrix I'm writing. Here I'm collapsing the D matrix. Okay, not the C matrix. The previous one I collapsed the C matrix. Here I am collapsing the D matrix. This is that epsilon z, which is 0. Okay, so this matrix become like that, the D matrix. Okay, and from here we can write, we will be able to find out this one. Sigma zz is mu into sigma xx plus sigma yy, or if you want to write it with the epsilon, with the epsilon thing, then mu e by 1 plus mu 1 minus 2 mu epsilon xx plus epsilon y. Okay, this directly from here it is. So here I already know sigma zz, which is the out of plane stress. If I know, once I calculate these two, I already know this from this equation. So that is the third equation already. Okay. So this is the plane strain condition, which normally we use. Now I give you, before I go to axisymmetry, I give you a small problem. So all of are you with me, or after lunch you got sleepy?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure. I think Professor Verma has started in situ stresses. Has he started in situ stresses, or is in rock mass classification? Which one he has started? You are doing Professor Verma's class also, right? If he has done the in situ stress, I'm not sure whether he has done it. let me tell you, this is the surface. Let's say
Sir, he has done that one, sir. I think.
he has done what?
I think institute stresses. He explained about the flat jack method and other sort of stuff also.
Oh, okay. So he must have told you then at a particular depth, if I have a element here, okay, so this has two stresses. He must have told you sigma b and one sigma h in this direction, one is sigma small h in this direction. Okay, one is vertical stress and two horizontal stresses. He must have told you. Now he must have also told you that there is no shear stress we are considering here. That means this one we consider the principal plane. There is no shear stress. Okay. So one in situ stress we are assuming as a vertical stress. Now always remember that in situ stresses are the principal stresses. So they are in principal plane. By default we are assuming that. Okay, in situ stress does not come with shear stress. So in whichever plane they are acting, that must be the principal plane because there is no shear stress. Always remember that. Okay. So he must have told you there are one small one big one, and one vertical stress. Now, if these two are same, okay, if these two are same, if you assume that, then he must have told you sigma h is equals to mu by 1 minus mu sigma h. Sorry, sigma b. Okay, let me delete it and write. Now, can you prove that using plane strain condition? My question is clear to you? The question is, if these two are same, so this is written as rho g d, if the depth is d, rho is the average density here, or I write rho bar. So rho bar is the average density about here. So rho bar gd, this is what is the vertical stress. So if I know this, then if I assume these two are same, then we can write this equation. Question is, can you prove that? Where mu is the Poisson ratio. Now it's a very simple. It comes from plane strain condition. Let's assume in any direction, in any of the direction, we consider this direction is z, this is let's say x, and let's say this direction is y. So I can write epsilon zz is, because I am now converting into 2D. So epsilon zz, I will write 1 by E epsilon, sigma zz minus mu. Here I write sigma b. Let me convert it. So this one is acting in z direction, so I convert it into this plus sigma h. You agree with me? This is from the generalized Hooke's law. Now, since I am considering this direction, so I have considered basically this plane. This is 2D plane. So this must be 0 because it's a plane strain condition. Because of sigma b and this sigma h, because this is now also sigma h, this cannot be happening. So this is 0. There will be no movement in this direction. So now from here, if you manipulate, So you are saying 1 minus sigma h is equals to mu sigma v. So sigma h equals to mu by 1 minus sigma v. So this is what we call these two geostatic in situ stress. This is basically geostatic in situ stress. Because of the static loading of the earth, of the rock above, these stress are developing. Can anybody tell me what will happen? What will happen if this entire thing is water body? If this is water, what will be this sigma h? Some d meter below. Forget about rock. Let's say it is water. What will be sigma h? Anybody?
I think same as sigma v.
Not think, that is because you know from Pascal law that in a water body, if you go below, the stresses are same in all directions, right? Pascal bola hai. Pascal has told you that. So, if sigma h equals to sigma v, what is mu?
Half.
Half. So, the Poisson ratio of water is what?
Half.
Half. Yes. So we call it more or less plasticity. You are in just like water. Okay, now it is going to flow. It is going to have a plastic flow. Okay. Now for rock, this is less than half. Okay, because it cannot be negative, so it must be less than half. So always remember that the Poisson ratio of rock or a solid material mostly. Okay, there are some solid material which can go above, but it's for different loading condition. For a static loading condition, Poisson ratio of solid material is generally less than half. We normally assume for water it is 0.5, and this is the reason what Pascal has said. Okay, so this is a very important relationship. This horizontal stress is equals to nu by 1 minus mu sigma v. But Pascal, since he has done experiment using water only, he found they are same. But if he would have done experiment with rock, he would have got this relationship. Okay. So that is what you have to always compare with known values, that whether you are doing good. So that's why small sigma h is always less than the sigma v. Means we call it geostatic sigma h. So geostatic sigma is less than this, less than the sigma v. Now axisymmetric condition. So let me go to that. As I told you, there must be the loading and everything must be very symmetrical. Okay, the loading may be like that. Okay, And in that case, we'll have an axis of symmetry. This is my axis of symmetry, let's say y axis. This is the axis of symmetry. And if I now consider a element here, let's say a 3D element here, so what we will have, there will be a sigma yy on this plane. There will be a stress in this two direction, because it's a cylindrical, so we call it sigma theta theta. I'm coming where from this theta is coming. So this is called hoop stress or tangential stress. Hoop stress, or also called tangential stress. Now what is this theta? If you extend this, this make this angle theta. Okay, this make this angle theta. So this is the angle theta, and this is called hoop stress, tangential stress, which is acting on in this material. And there may be a stress in this direction. We call it radial direction. That's why I'm writing with R, sigma RR. That's called radial direction. So similarly, there will be also that in this direction, and there will be shear in this direction, and a shear will be in this direction. We are assuming in this direction there is no shear. Okay, in the circumferential direction there is no shear, but in the longitudinal or the axis direction there can be a shear, and in horizontal direction can be a shear. So there may be a tau r theta, we call it. This is also tau. So this is the stress conditions. Okay, there will be a normal stress in y direction. There is a radial stress, because it's a curve, that's why we say radial. Radial meaning this is perpendicular. Tangential, if tangential direction is this, then uska perpendicular. So there is a perpendicular to its tangent. That is what is the radial direction, radially coming out. So these are the stress condition here. Now, the corresponding strains, definitely this one, if I use another color, this has a, let's say, the displacement V in here, and in this direction, let's say UR. I'm writing R just to show that it's a radial direction. So in this direction, displacement is UR, and in this direction V. So I can always write epsilon YY will be del V by del Y, right? This is no issue. We just know. If I know the function B, how it is varying with y axis, I can find out this strain. Similarly, I can write epsilon RR, which is causing this sigma RR. So this will be del UR by del R, and R is this in the radial direction. Okay, that is the R. We are not purposefully writing X, because X is actually on a plane, but this is in a radial direction coming out in all the directions, all 360-degree directions. So these two strain, no problem. We already know the definition. Okay. Now, what will be the tangential strain? Okay, the tangential strain. 1 minute, let me stop it. Okay. The tangential strain, or the hoop strain. So that is what is the interesting part here. The epsilon theta theta is basically change of the circumference, right? Because of the stress, how the circumference has changed. So let me write how much it has changed. 2 pi r plus ur is after the stress has happened. Original was 2 pi r. Here, this is the r radius. So this circumference is 2 pi r, right? Divided by its original circumference. Okay. So now this one you are saying ur by r. So this is the hoop strain which is causing this sigma theta theta. So this one is causing this. ur divided by r. Okay. Now you can see as r is very close to this axis, this is extremely high. Okay. So there is a point of singularity comes. Okay. But we are not talking that right now here. Just understand the definition. So these three strain we already got. Now another strain is left, gamma r theta. That will be del v by del r plus del ur by del y. This is hello. Okay. So somebody has unmuted it. You please mute it. So gamma r theta we got epsilon theta theta, we got epsilon yy and epsilon rr. Okay, and then the relationship between stress and strain. What? Has anybody has a question? Uh, so you will write it like this: sigma rr, sigma theta theta, then tau r theta and sigma yy. This is equals to whatever the D matrix I have given you for plane strain. This one is for plane strain. Okay, you will use that. I have already given you just before. You will use that D matrix, and then this will be multiplied with epsilon rr, epsilon theta theta, gamma r theta, and epsilon yy. So the relationship is like this. This is the relationship of plane strain condition, this D matrix, whatever I gave you. Okay. So this in this order you will write, then you are absolutely correct. Okay. These are the definition of strains, and normally we use it. Let me just give you how we use this. Then you will know. How we collapse it into 2D. You may be thinking of that. So this is my axis of symmetry y-axis. So if this is a shaft problem, this is my 2D. So let's say I'm just analyzing this, and the loading condition will be something like that. And if I also have a loading condition like this, I can give no problem. So this is becoming my R, okay, and out of plane this way will be theta theta. Now what we are doing is we rotate it 360 degree, okay, and this become that shaft. This is my material. This is the rock, and this portion will become shaft. So if I rotate it 360 degree, you are seeing that this is becoming like a shaft. Okay. So if a 3D problem, we are collapsing just by a 2D rectangle and using this kind of stress strain relationship. Okay. And we do basically this analysis for when we analyze shaft or even a tunnel also. Even for a tunnel, we can do this. Okay, but the condition has to be met like that. Then only we can collapse it into 2D. Okay. What I do, whatever the time I have, let me not go further. I give you another problem, and then maybe um, your thing will be clear. Now, let's say we'll finish it tomorrow, this chapter. This is another example problem you can do. Now, this is a rock sample of this shape. We have applied 50 MPa here. Okay. We have applied 50 MPa here, and the dimension are like this. This is 10 centimeter. This is 5 centimeter. This is also 5 centimeter. Okay. Here it is fixed. Means we put it on a floor, and then we applied a 50 MPa stress on top of that. The axis, if you are looking for the axis, it's this, and this. So this is X, Y, and Z. These are the axes. Okay, so this is basically XY plane. Now the question, sorry, this is not 5 centimeter, I'm sorry. This is the dimension, we are writing it W. Now you tell me, or you have to do it in your home, if W is equals to 1 centimeter, okay, what will be the normal stress and normal strain in Z direction? Epsilon ZZ and sigma ZZ if W is equals to 1 centimeter. Can anybody tell me what will be epsilon ZZ?
Zero.
What? Okay. So you try it. This is number one, and number two is if W is equals to 100 centimeter, then what will be the same? Epsilon ZZ and sigma ZZ. Okay. So you have to find out what will be the value of epsilon ZZ and sigma ZZ. Here also epsilon ZZ and sigma ZZ. This is what you have to find out. Okay. The hint is the first one is plane stress and second one is plane strain condition. Okay. You have to assume these two because I made it thin, you can see, and this is a thick. So it is 100 centimeter. It's a very thick one. Okay. So then this one will become plane strain condition, and this one is plane stress condition. Okay. So the same problem, because of the dimension, the stresses and strain will change. Okay, especially in out of plane direction. Okay, so that you have to understand, and you solve it. The stress is applied only in sigma YY direction. there is no sigma xx. Sigma xx is 0, tau xy is 0. So problem is simplified. Pretty much you have to assume E is Kn GPa and mu is 0.25. Okay, this is what you have to assume. Is that clear to everybody? This is already in the book. I think I have also given in that class notes. So you can check there too. If you are not able to solve, first you try to solve. If you are not able to solve, then you only see the book. Okay. So thank you for today, and we will again meet tomorrow 10 a.m. And we will complete this chapter. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, excuse me,
Yeah.
sir. So how will we find the value of sigma theta theta in the last part that axis symmetry?
I will find sigma theta theta.
Yes, sir.
See, this is a axisymmetric problem, and in axisymmetric problem, your D matrix will be given, E and mu will be given. Okay,
The same as
and
in the last
E
part.
and so some stress will be given to you. Let's say sigma yy will be given to you. Okay, and if the sigma y is given, you put it into that matrix, that relationship. So from there you calculate the sigma theta theta. Sigma theta theta uh, will be not known. So let's say if I have already 1 minute, let me go there. I have, so the relationship is sigma RR, sigma theta theta, tau R theta, and sigma YY, right? This is equals to whatever E by 1 plus mu and 1 minus 2 mu, like this. So this into that matrix into that epsilon RR something something is there, right? Now if these values are given to you, you are already knowing this using this relationship. Okay. Now if the displacement functions are given, let's say UR is given as a function of R and Y. Similarly, V is given as another function of R and Y. Then you have to calculate this using those relationship I gave you. And then E and mu will be given. So from there you will be able to find out this. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this function is required for you. Okay. So somebody has to give you this, or this will come from the definition. Okay. Definition of the problem. But in your case, this time, this function need to be given so that you can calculate the strain.